You know, something that I've done is, like, we were just talking about it before the thing, before this event happened, was I like these trivia games. I actually made a trivia game. I had kids. I said, okay, this section is going to write, because in theology we have this long list of matching categories. Like a lot of the theology people will do these big long matching sections of the finals. So all the names of the Bible all the names in the Bible, all the different stories and terms about biblical scholarship that I want them to know. I said, all right, this row you're going to write down 2 facts about from this part of the list to this part of the list, and then so on and so forth. And I took all their facts, and I said, okay, we're going to have a trivia game. Get into teams, and I will read. Specific. I'll read the facts, and you tell me what they were. And it gets you can get a little complicated because, like, if it's something they wrote, but it all comes around. Some of them have some gimmies because they wrote the facts, but others don't. And whoever wins gets 5 extra credit points on the final or something totally inconsequential, but they think it's really big.
They do.
And they'll really try and work, and they'll listen to what the other people are saying. They'll, like, the kids who don't know will listen to what the other kids on their team are saying, so then they're studying, and that works pretty well. I've done similar things with Spanish, in foreign language, you can put up like a big picture off Google, and that's Google, like if it was house vocabulary, a big picture of a house with all the different furniture and people in it, and then say, okay, let's name things in the house. What do you see in the house? And, just they have to say it in Spanish. So I'll ask, I'll ask the questions in Spanish and stuff like that. And that's really good vocabulary review. So I don't know how that would translate to non-foreign language courses, but it's an idea.
I agree, though, making things competitive really helps, too. Sometimes for some of the chapters I'll have a review where we play Pondu, which is hangman. And then it'll be, you can modify it for a lot of different things. You can have it be a vocab word or a verb that's conjugated in a certain tense or a certain class of verbs. And they just love it. I mean, they really get into it and get really excited about it. I think they retain it a lot better when it's competitive.
Board races.
Oh, yeah.
Board races and teams, and the rows are teams. They love that. Oh, my God. I get so nuts over that. It's terrible. It's out of control.
But when they're having fun, they're more engaged and they're more likely to learn.
Yeah. I think a lot of commonalities are that you have some sort of activity that tries to bring everything together. And, the key word about that is the active part of activity, is what you were saying earlier, where you're there really doing a lot of the work. And I think, and I feel like every subject has that activity that you could do, or that just sort of brings everything that they've done in the semester and culminates it together.
And if they have to explain it, like I'm watching the kids, it's really kind of fun in the Student Success Center. When they go down there, they've got tutors that are juniors, and they're working with all the different classes. And so the student has to explain to that tutor what they need help with. So like when they're in the class, you just go up and you know what the subject is and you can help them. But they've got to explain it to the tutor. And so if the tutor doesn't understand what they're talking about, they can't help them. But the act of the kid explaining it to him, and then I watch those tutors stand with them and show them how to do it and making sure that they understand, I think it's really helped the kids a lot. And they'll come back and tell me how they got a higher grade on their particular test. But it's that conversation going back and forth that makes the difference. And it's been fun this year because we had a lot of freshmen last year, and the sophomores this year, they're coming in, and one kid will go, I know how to do that, and they'll work together. So instead of just using our tutors now, they're starting to use each other to learn the material. And so if they can use each other in the same class to discuss it, they're more likely to be successful. And if they don't understand something, then the tutor can step in. But that, to me, is taking that to the next level. Not just coming in and asking a question, but now I'm working in a group. I am they are becoming the teachers to each other. And then that takes it to a higher level of learning.
I agree. Tried a few different review session types
like for each test that we've had, and some have flopped and some have worked. In like the one that was probably the least effective was me getting up there, giving them a study guide, and like telling them, going over it. Okay, guys, I'm just talking the whole time. This is what you guys need to learn. This is what you need to know. And I thought it was the easiest test I've given all semester, and it didn't do quite as well as I thought it would. But the best probably review session that we did, and the ones that I think they enjoyed the most, was we did speed dating. So we lined up all the desks, and then they were supposed to each come up with 5 questions for the test the night before. And when they got there, they would all be, their desks would be matched up, and then they just, go back and forth asking their dates, I guess, each other's questions. And then we hit the gong, and then they go to the next person, and those questions would come again. So they got, different, like, I guess, ways to study from and interacting with each other. Yeah, we call it.
Of course, with our boys, that's going to work.
It will.
Yeah, there we go. Who was their favorite date and who was not their favorite date?
You get to check them off on
But I think a lot of activities like this, I think it engages them when they're having fun, but I also think it takes the stress off. Some of these kids get so worked up, at least my advanced kids do, and truthfully some of my seniors who really need this grade. Their own fault that they need it, because my senior class isn't that tough, but they put themselves in a bad spot. And I think such activities take a lot of the stress and pressure, and in truth explicitly telling them, look, this, just relax, you're going to be fine on this. And that's where I found it interesting that Carol was talking about the calculation of my grades. It used to annoy me when kids did that to no end. Actually, now I understand it perfectly. And that's where they are with that, and that's okay, you can use that. And we'll talk openly about, okay, sure, come on, sit down, we'll figure out what you need, but then we get to talk about how to get there, and specifically to that student, and then those are those conversations you talked about. On a separate point, I thought of this earlier when Carol was talking. I've never tried this, but I find it interesting. You meet with all your lower-end kids on Friday, and I've never done that with my students. I oftentimes will write on tests if they don't perform well to kind of review the test, come see me, and then we sit down. But I may try that with my seniors, kind of have some of them come in who really need to meet with me a little bit more regularly, and then just kind of openly chat with them. Because once that conversation happens, everything gets easy. But until that conversation happens, it's tough to know enough to actually act the right way around those kids. So for a few of my kids, I may steal.
And some of them don't even know what to ask. They go, I don't know what to ask when I go in. And I remember having that when I was taking a computer class in college. I went in and asked the teacher, I said, I don't understand this material. And he said, well, what question do you have? And I said, I really don't have a question. I'm so confused. Wasn't a good answer. He said, don't come back until you have a question. It's what not to do. But sometimes they are so overwhelmed, or they are so afraid of the teacher. They like you personally, but I'm going to look dumb if I ask that question, or I'm afraid to ask. And so they never ask. It's just amazing. And seniors, juniors are still afraid. And I think if I can teach the kids how to come and talk to you, how to ask questions, and work that out with the teachers, and the parents, or with the parents, and say, all right, here's our goal, is they have to go and ask this before they can go out on the weekend, or kind of apply consequences to their actions. But you have to give them the actions of what they need to do, because they really don't know, or they're too afraid to do it. And then once they do it, it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I can do that again.
Another thing, one of the things that I was talking with Frank Lingar this morning before I came over here.